Hello, welcome to today's lecture. What is today's lecture all about? As you can see, it's written there. It is going to talk about the important topics of IBPS PO 2018. Rather than important topics, more the relevant topics that should be done before you move on to any descriptive paper in this season. Now, before I move on to today's topic, I hope that you have gone through those lectures which are important on our channel, which are important and relevant to the written exercises or the descriptive section. I have already shared those lectures with you in my earlier one of my earlier lectures. So I'm sure that I'm hopeful that you have already gone through that, because then you already know that you have to do this. This is the structure. You have to write in this way, and those homework stuff is done. So in today's class we are not going to do those homework stuff, how to write, what to do. No, we are not going to do that. What is today's agenda is simple: to glance through some important topics for essay writing, to glance through some important topics for letter writing. And why are we doing this? So that at the end, before exams, it is ensured, you ensure that at least most of these topics have been covered by you. So that whenever, even if a topic which is loosely relevant to this or loosely based to one of these topics come, you are capable enough to create content and write essay on that. So that's the purpose, right? And who knows, if you are lucky enough, you would end up getting one of these topics also, and then you would have a field day, right? Okay, so let's start off. Let's look at the topic one by one. We will not discuss how to write them, but we will just I'll just give in most of the topics a direction of how to start thinking, so that at home you can do that and apply that fold T analysis and writing pattern and write essays on that pattern, right? So let's start. The first, some relevant topics. Now, some relevant topics for essay. The first category that we will do in essay is the static topics, the evergreen topics. What are the static topics? The evergreen topics. So let's start with the first one: poverty alleviation. An evergreen topic, always relevant, right? For the last 20-25 years, in every essay writing or descriptive writing activity, this is relevant, equally relevant in all of those activities. Why? Obviously, because if we look at the world in world over also, the poverty problems are increasing, and due to poverty problems, the problems that are associated with it, such as hunger, such as deprivation of the basic rights, these things are also increasing. In India also we see the same scenario. The number of poor are increasing day by day. The absolute number of poor is unimaginably high in a country like India. So on those lines, the poverty alleviation programs that have been coming. Please understand, when you write an essay, it's not necessary that you'll have to quote every data that is there to quote on this particular issue. What you need to do is just find out those 2-3 points, as I already told you in my last lecture. Just focus on those 2-3-4 points and write a connected essay on it. Bus, that's it, and you don't need to do anything, right? If you remember data, you can quote them, but it is not necessary at all. You can just speak in general terms, the advantages, the pros of the poverty alleviation programs that have been there. In general terms, you have say the cons of the poverty alleviation programs that have come over the course of these last few decades. Poverty alleviation, how to do it, what to do it, in general terms you can talk about. Decentralization of decision making in academic or government or private institution. This is a very relevant topic today also. It had been earlier also. See, academic institutions like the IITs, IIMs always fight for their decentralization of decision making, autonomy. Similarly, government, private institutions also have that nature of conflict with the government, with the regulatory body. So is it good? Is it bad? How to do it? what is the process of doing it. So discussion of this would make a beautiful essay on it, right? So in very easy terms, don't go on complicating the topics beyond the level it needs to be complicated. In easy terms, in layman languages. Next, technology in education. The next topic, technology in education. Now look at this, a very relevant one. I'll quote you a very simple example. Today, I can interact with you, you sitting at different parts of this country, I sitting in another part of the country, and I can interact with you so seamlessly. This is the gift of technology, right? This would not have been possible 10 years back, but this is possible today. Now, when you look at this technology in education, now what is the example I quoted? I quoted an example which is so real, so happening, and so in front of us. Now please understand, why did I quote this example? So that you do not miss the obvious. A lot of times we miss the obvious. Obvious are good points. We miss the obvious, that technology in education has revolutionized the way we ourselves are a part of this process. Right? So why not to give an example of that? I'm not saying that you talk about yourself, but you talk about students in general. You talk about preparation in general. Right? So you can talk about that, and you don't need any data. You don't need any data. You know every data that is to know. You know, so the huge amount of benefits that students derive from just by sitting home with their work schedules. They can do whatever they want to do just because of technology. They can study whatever they want to study just because of technology. So why not to give this example? You can give this example. Obviously, you will see a lot of other points too, which I'm sure you will be able to deliver from the iGet helps and T analysis model. But what I'm saying, in each one of these topics, I'm showing you one or two different things. Like in this one, I showed you that if there is something obvious, do use them. Something being obvious does not mean that it is not a good point. Next, effect on economy of different sectors individually or combined. Now, this is something where you would need a little bit of research. But I think that you have already done that research. You have been going through general awareness. You have been doing through current affairs for so long for this mains examination. So being able to write a 200-word essay on tourism industry or education industry or banking industry shouldn't be an issue for you. So please understand, my dear friends, whatever topic I am giving in you here, you are to write an essay on whatever you know as of now, or whatever you have gathered over the course of your preparation. You do not hunt for the data for that particular essay. This is something a lot of people are wasting time nowadays. You take a topic and what do? You go and start hunting data. Don't do that, my dear friends. Hunting data is a waste of time, because first of all, it's not practical. In the exam, you might get a different topic, right? So where will you hunt data for that? You cannot hunt data for that. So whatever you will have to do with whatever data you have with yourself at that point, at that moment, right? Now, if this is a possibility in exam, why not to practice for that possibility? And how would I become good at this, good at performing in this kind of possibility? Simple. You just take up the topic and start right away with building content and writing an essay. Do not go, I repeat, do not go back and hunt the internet for some relevant data on that topic and then come back to write. No, whatever you have at that point of time, you will have to make yourself do with it. And as you need only 2 to 3 points, I cannot imagine any one of these topics where you will lack that. Is it clear? Right? So you have to do with whatever you have at that point. Do not gather data for specific essays. Whatever you are reading in your general awareness, current affairs, would have to do. Next. And all these industries would be covered. Then automatically you will have a lot of data when you will sit for in the exam. One of these came in the last year IBPS PO, if I remember. Education, reform in education, what the international standards of reform on education or something like that was the topic. So see, if you prepare for that, you would get something related to it. Inflation and its effects. Now, inflation is a very important thing. I'm sure you all know about inflation. You have read about it. You are bankers. You are aspiring bankers. So inflation, you have a lot of data about inflation, but I do not need data in essays. You might quote one or two data, but the inflation data it changes weekly. So what you need to, even if you quote data, that should be generic in nature, yearly or over a period of time in nature. But what is more important than data here is how it affects life. How it affects lives, and what to do and what not to do. These are important. The qualitative part, don't run behind quantitative part, but run behind the qualitative part of data, right? The analysis part. Okay. In GMAT, you know, what do we say in exams like GMAT? We don't refer them to as essay. We refer them to as analytical writing assessment test. And that exactly what essays is. They are saying essay, but essentially they are trying to vouch out for your analytical writing abilities, right? Chalo, next, CSR, corporate social responsibilities. What is corporate social responsibility? You see, all these huge multinationals, companies like Tata, Mahindra, they have an arm called CSR arm. The smaller ones also have, but the bigger ones do have this. And what do? They invest in education, they invest in water harvesting, they invest in dams management. So why are they doing it? See, organizations are profit entities. So when profit entities are getting resource from the society, this is one of the activities through which they are giving back to this society. So that's why it says corporate social responsibility, right? So you can write so many things about it, whether it is required, whether paying taxes is part of CSR or not, or whether apart from paying taxes, companies should do CSR, right? So whether it is required, and if required, what to do in required, whether it is required for a developing country, or what is its relevance for a developing country like India. Like for example, Mahindra invests here for water harvest. Mahindra's CSR arm, I have worked closely with them. I have conducted some training programs with them across the country. So I know that they invest heavily in water harvesting projects, drought management. So in a country like us, it's so relevant, no? Right? So that's wise. Next, rural versus urban divide. Now, if this kind of topic comes, it's so easy. Obviously, these are not topics; these are links to those topics. You can make any topic out of it. But in whichever area it comes, you do an I get helps. You do an I get helps of rural versus urban, and you are done with. You don't need to do anything. You state the I get helps, even 3-4 points of the I get helps. You are done with it, right? So these are direct topics. Next, education versus experience for a job. Okay, it can be any job. They might ask you in a banking job, they might ask you in a management job. So education versus experience, whether education is more necessary, relevant education, that is management education or education of being a banker, banking education, or being experience of being a banker or experience of being a manager is more necessary, right? So how to discuss it? You list the advantages of education, what a relevant education does for you. You also list the advantages of experience. Okay, and whichever is the stand of the topic, then at the end you drive your arguments towards it. That's it. Role of ethics in business. Now this is very relevant today. In today's world, it is more so relevant because we are seeing so many unethical business practices cropping up every day in and day out. Sometimes to acquire customers, sometimes to save taxes, sometimes to do plain, in broad daylight they are committing crimes, financial crimes. So role of ethics. Should ethics be a part of our education? Should ethics be a part of the training processes that we give our managers and clerical staff? So these are the things that you can discuss in there. Na? All things that are in front of you from your real life, from the life, you can take examples from them. So you don't need to be a super GA expert to write on these topics, right? Chalo, next, the 10th one. Women empowerment, safety /safety/role in economy. All three very important topic. women, and related also. If you see, these are related also, connected also. To write about one, you'll have to mention the other. Women's safety in workplace, such a relevant topic today, na? Right? We are in the middle of the hashtag Me Too movement, where we are seeing not only in the entertainment world but in the press world, the media world, and who knows, so many places where there had not been complaints, but in general workplaces, is it safe for women? Our workplaces, is it safe for for our women colleagues? And so you can discuss the Me Too movement there. You can take the example of the Me Too movement there, but don't go on and on about it. It's just an example. Take it, say a point, leave it, and move on to the next point. What are the other points that can be? You can talk about how the developed nations has made free spaces for women, and handled crisis related to women's safety. And India should also make it a rule or a regulation or a process or not. Right? Women's role in economy, so important. Half of our population is women, but the contribution to GDP to theirs is also enormous, but it is not known, it is not seen. More than half of it is in unorganized sector, right? So your housemaids, your the construction workers, in agriculture, in family businesses, but they are not given their due respect. So you can talk so much about it when you don't need to talk so much. You just need to take 2-3 points, decide on the 2-3 points, elaborate them, complete it, bus, that's it. India, a developing country. Now, what are the keywords? Now, if you're looking at it, I'm already doing the T analysis with you. I'm looking at the keywords. India is one keyword. Developing country is another keyword. So, what means a developing country? Discuss that. What are the factors that keep India a developing country? Discuss that. And how can we come out from that? Discuss that. You are done with your essay. You are done with your essay. Right? So, it's so simple. You're looking at the keywords, you're deciding the flow, you're writing it, and you're done with it. To generate relevant content, you are using T analysis. Next, unemployment. Unemployment is an issue. Unemployment is an issue. How to solve it? Obviously, unemployment will come with something else. In topics, it would come with something else. But as such, what do I write about unemployment? Unemployment in India, it's a rising trend. We need more entrepreneurs, so that not only do people strive for jobs, but people, the youth, the energetic youth of today also become job creators, right? We can talk about this stuff, right? And believe me, and I'm sure these are things that you already discuss with your friends, in your family. You just don't come up with them when in essay. Why is it so? Because your mind is not directed towards that. That's your zone of comfort. That's your zone of family, friends, discussion with family, friends. That's a zone of entertainment. So when you are writing a serious thing like, when you are at a serious task like writing an essay for a selection process, those things do not strike you. How do you make those relevant things strike you? Simple T analysis would already help you there. That's why T analysis is so helpful, na? Chalo. Corruption, talk about corruption. You can talk about some data. You can talk about the Lokayuks, the trials and the tribulations that were faced by the youth of this country to bring them onto the process. The RTI, right to investigate, right to information. All of these stuff you can talk about there, and these are stuff that are coming to me. Just I'm talking to you. As I'm talking to you, they are coming to my mind, and we are getting 2-3 points on every one of these topic. So is it difficult? No, it is not difficult. If you train your mind to think in an organized way, you will see this is not at all difficult. Social connect at the cost of family connect. Now, this is a very relevant current topic also. So, you see, today with social media, we are connected with far off people whom we do not know, but it is also coming at a cost of family connect. So many examples. When you go and got a visit and you see that parents and children sitting together, one with his own phone, another with his own tab or phone. So that's something that you can obviously give an example. Frame it well, but you can give an example. You see it everywhere, right? So these kind of stuff, the obvious, state them. Okay. Next, current topics. In current topics, I would not say much, because in current topics, you would know much more than what I would know, because you are doing general awareness, current affairs, and God knows whatever. You are so well versed with these topics. First, demonetization. I mean, it's a topic which needs no introduction, right? So, but because there is so much to say, what I would say here is that just pick up 2 to 3 points, my dear friends. Don't juggle with a lot of points here. There is so much to say. Just make the structure also easy. Demonetization requirements that the government felt that it will, or the government felt which are the things that it will achieve, achievements that the government felt that it would achieve through demonetization. Did it happen? Yes, no. On just by ticking, like this activity to one extent it happened, this activity to an extent it did not happen, right? Simple, very simple. And overall, if you want to take a stand on the basis of the topic given, then you take it. Next, GST implementation or long-term benefits. Again, what is the nature of the topic, what is the stand that the topic is taking, is in your paper, that would be clear when you look at the topic. But what you talk about, if it is talking about implementation, talk about the first, there were so many rates, they were brought down, why not the rates being brought down at the first instance only? The due diligence was not adequately done, because if it had been done, there had not been so many changes, right? The good, talk about the good things. A single tax system is what a developed country is associated with. So if India has to move from a developing country to a developed country, we need a single tax system, because it is easy to do business, and our ease to do business rankings would also improve due to that. So these things you can see, all of these things. I am not a master at current affairs. I'm not, I'm not what do you say, the current ongoing. I only read the papers, but that's it. But off the cuff, I am able to tell you 2 to 3 points about every one of these topics. What does this show? This shows that you are much more, you being much more capable than me in current affairs, you would have a field day with these topics. You will just crack them like anything. Okay. Next, NPA management. Now, a very relevant topic for bankers. When you come and talk about NPA management, why NPA happens, how do we control it, what are the main reasons in India for NPA? Don't go after data. Again, I'll tell you, don't go after data. How much NPA SBI has, how much NPA Canara Bank, Allahabad Bank has, they are not necessary. If you remember them, you want to quote it in one of the examples, do quote them, but you don't need to do it if you don't need know them, right? Indian banking sector woes, obviously through NPA also you would talk a lot about Indian banking sector woes, but that's not the only thing. Apart from the NPAs, Indian banking sector is also in a stage where it does not know where to invest. It's confused where to invest, in what industry to invest, how to get maximum value out of the money that they get. Even NPA is sort of companies try to give loans to those people who are well off, and in the process, so that they give back that money with interest, and banking profits go up. But because they do not do their due diligence, what happens is some of them, or a lot of them, are not in the mood of paying off that money. They only take that money from the bank because it is easy money, and then they you know what happens, some of them get out of this country, some of them just delay it. So this happens. And so one of those is that rise of terrorism states in India and world both. In India, obviously, when I talk about terrorism, don't talk about only Jammu and Kashmir and religious terrorism. Also talk about Maoism, also talk about Naxalism, because these are also terrorist activities, right? Talk about how even development is not, in some parts there had been, we are looking at a contradictory times for movement of Naxalism. For example, in some states we are seeing infrastructure development. Earlier, what did we think? That infrastructure development, if it happened, then there would be no terrorism. But in Chhattisgarh, infrastructure development happened, but still the terrorism is on rise, the Naxalism is on rise. So these things you can discuss. Rise of extreme right or rise of intolerance in the world. Now, this is very relevant. You see a lot of right activist movements. President Trump of United States, rightist president, across the world. We are looking at, in many European nations having extreme right leader of the state, and intolerance also is therefore rising. So because of and these are linked, terrorism, rise in terrorism, there are refugees. Because there are rise in refugees, so the people are the original inhabitants or of those areas feel very afraid of these refugees because they are taking up their jobs. So intolerance is also rising. So these are linked. You can do that, those links, you can talk about that singly, that's entirely up to you. Rise of pollution, India, world, both. This is an issue you would know much more than me. Water crisis, India, world, both. Here, if you can talk about a little data, it's good. And you know, I'm already giving you these topics so that you also surf a little on these topics. Obviously, not before writing, but in the course, just in the course, surf about them. Brexit, such an interesting topic. Brexit happened. Now the Britishers are not so sure that whether they want to have Brexit. So you know, such a beautiful context. This shows that mass is always not right, and in everything using the trump card of democracy is also not right. Okay, in Brexit, what did they do? They had a vote. Now, why are the leaders there for? The leaders are there for to make important. You have been voted to power, so the leaders in power are to make the decisions by themselves. They ended up by having a referendum. Okay, so you can talk about those things. You can talk about Brexit itself. That's up to you. Relations of India with China, USA, and other neighboring countries, very important. Pakistan may also, Bangladesh, also Sri Lanka. Have data on this, because here if you have data, you can view anything. Digital banking in India. In the recent future, is it going to happen, or is it not? Full digital banking, is it going to happen? Cashless currencies, is it going to happen? Not happen. Right? How digital banking is making inroads. How in India it is more relevant to have digital banking, so that people who are to get those money should get the really get those money. For example, subsidies in the gas subsidies, we have seen that the monies are being transferred directly to the account, and that's a good thing, right? So the subsidy schemes through digital banking has enhanced, has made it very relevant. Digitizations of transactions has made life much easier. India's defense strategy, right? And with Rafale in context, we can talk about with Rafale in context, we can talk about without Rafale in context, whatever. If obviously if it is Rafale itself, then you'll have to talk about Rafale, but we can use it or not use it. India's space missions, you know, so you we have been continuously being successful in many space missions, in the Mars mission, in the satellites missions, the largest number of satellites that we sent. So talk about them. Obviously, this data you should have. That we sent to Mars, we sent to orbiting satellites. So these are things you should have in your data kit. But I think you have those generic data, and talk about them. Don't only do 2 or 3 things. You need cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin one of them, and a host of others. The rise of cryptocurrencies, the stabilization of cryptocurrencies, advantages, disadvantages. Talk about them in objective terms. Please understand, in essays you need to be very objective. Advantages, disadvantages, very objective. Okay. Rise of selfies in today's era. If we look at it, we have selfie camera in a phone much better than the normal camera at the back. So rise of selfies, what does it show? It's also an abstract topic to an extent. You can take it to an abstract level also. It shows a little bit of narcissism too. Me, and only me. You can say, talk about these things. These are all directions. Whatever I am telling you are only directions. You can build over that. You can create your own content and write over that. Okay, but you need to do these things. Now the abstract concepts, abstract topics. Some abstract topic can be anything and everything. There is no relevant topic for this exam. It can be from any exam, and it can be anything. It can be out of these very easily. Color black, I'm just giving you some example. Color black. How to write about abstract topic, if you want to know about that, you know, you might visit the personality development, one of my personality development videos, where I have talked about an abstract topic, how to discuss abstract topic in the group discussion 2, I suppose. Just go through it, you would understand. United we stand, divided we fall. A world without borders. Every cloud has a silver lining. To be or not to be. A perfectly ethical world is an utopia. Now, how to and what to write, you get an idea from my lecture of that. But, at least practice one or two abstract topic. Obviously, your focus should be in these two areas more, but at least practice one or two abstract topics so that you have a habit of doing abstract topic. Who knows, in these areas you get a topic which you do not know anything about, then you'll have to be creative and write about abstract topic, na? Right? And all of you are so creative, and I'm sure that you will write very good on abstract topic. Okay, so these were some relevant topics for essay. Now very fast, let's look at the relevant topics for letter writing. In letter writing, I'll not talk about what to write. You already know what to write. These are to the point. The body would be to the point. Whatever the issue has been given, you just state that, end the letter, bus, that's it. You are done with it. Okay, how to write it, what to write, that I'm sure that you have already gone through our lectures and you know that. So some of the important topics. Letter to bank. One category is letter to bank. What can be the topics? Credit card, debit card loss, ATM malfunction, some process delay complaint, maybe some transfer of account request, complaint against an employee or any other request. So these, at least practice 2 to 3 letter to bank before going on to the exam. Then letter to editor. Quote an error in news reported. There is an error in the last day's newspaper. Quote that. Submission for op-ed. Op-ed is, you are writing an editorial article, open editorials, and you are submitting it. Report some news or complaint in your region. Okay, so practice 2-3 types of letter to editor too in this category. Letter to government official, maybe police officer, maybe IS officer, maybe a minister. Complaint regarding your area. What are the topics that can come? Complaint regarding your area, something regarding your area, anything. Now, you practice anything, whatever comes, you would be able to mimic it. Na? Suggestion regarding any policy, informing them on some issue in your area or in general, requesting them for help, maybe for bad roads, maybe for lights, street lights. Okay, complaint against some people, hooligans in the area. So these kind of stuff you can write. So practice them. Letter to friend, asking about them, how are they, what are they doing currently. General letter, congratulating them on marriage, job, or child for having a child, advising them on something, maybe job, money, failures, or asking advice on the same things, job, money, failures. So practice these, mix and match and practice these. Letter to friends also. And the last category, letter to family members, parents, siblings, spouse. What you can, asking for money. Now that's the first thing that comes to our mind when we say parents nahi. That's not the first thing that comes, I'm joking. But then asking for money, we ask a lot of money from our parents. Asking about them, about our siblings or about our dear ones. Informing them about some good news or bad news. Okay, so these things. So see, what did I do? I categorize the letter writing in different categories so that you are able to practice, you ensure that you at least practice 2 to 3 letters in each one of these category. And thereby what will happen, you will be comfortable in any kind of letter. That is the same thing would happen for essay writing also. If you write 80% of those topics on each one of those category, you would be comfortable writing on any one of them. Okay, so go ahead and ensure that you have written or rather typed most of them till the exams, obviously following the directions that I gave you in the last class, and then see what will happen. Magic would happen. When you start to write in the exam, flow would come automatically to you. But remember, first 2-3 minutes on creating a structure for how would you write, and then write it. And you know that how to, the process you already know, that has been discussed in the 4-5 lectures that we have delivered to you, right? So keep practicing. Hope this discussion has incited some liveware in you. You've got directions in different areas, and you know, see the beauty of it. If you get direction in one area, that might as well help you in some other area which is seemingly not very related to it, right? And that's the beauty of it. You practice these sort of 15, 16, 17 topics, and you ensure that whatever topic comes, you can borrow from one of these and use them there, right? Use them there. Okay, so that would be all for today. Hope you are writing a lot, because that's something which is very important. And don't write on pen on paper. That's only type on computer. Okay, so thank you very much, and all the best for your exams.